Welcome back to the channel. Our trip began at New York JFK, where an exhausted Osama and I headed straight after work on a direct flight to Milan on Emirates Airlines. Of course, we had to fuel up with a nutritious, healthy dinner before boarding. We felt really lucky because the flight was basically entirely empty. This probably won't happen again anytime soon since we were in November 2021 and COVID had still slowed down travel quite a bit.
And she sits right here.
Osama insisted on sharing his top tips for how to keep your row empty on a plane. I was clearly excited for my own empty row, and the 8-hour flight went by in the blink of an eye. Before we knew it, we had arrived at Milan Malpensa International Airport. We took an affordable taxi ride into the city and checked into our hotel. Day one, we are in our hotel in Milan. We're just asking for a map so we can figure out where to go first. Oh, look at that view.
We'll Photoshop that in.
After a quick freshen up, we decided to make the most of our day by heading straight to Duomo di Milano. The cathedral took nearly 6 centuries to complete. Construction began in 1386 and the final details were completed in 1965. The layout in Milan of streets either radiating from the Duomo or circling it highlight the key role that this cathedral had in the history of Milan. Nowadays, you'll see floods of tourists, people persuading you to feed pigeons, and also a bunch of different street performers. Here was a memorable moment of a guy singing opera.
Io sì lo so che sei con te partirò paesi.
Hey guys, and welcome back to our vlog. Today is day 1 in Milan. We took a flight from New York JFK to Milan earlier today, and at one point during the flight I honestly thought we'd accidentally boarded the wrong plane because it said JFK to Dubai, and I was so confused. I even shook Osama. I woke him up and it's like, I think we're on the wrong plane. And I went back to where the lady was preparing the airplane food and the meals and stuff, and I just said, excuse me, this is a really stupid question, but where is this plane going? And she was like, Dubai. And then I was like, but is it going to Milan first? And she goes, oh, of course. And I was like, thank God, because every single little airplane TV said this is a flight from JFK to Dubai. So I thought that was really misleading on their part, to be fair. I still think that I'm in the right when it comes to that. Osama thinks I'm totally foolish. It said JFK to Dubai everywhere on every single screen. I even clicked on the flight plan and it said the time at your destination is 2 a.m. and I knew that in Milan it was not 2 a.m. We got really lucky and managed to sleep the entire flight from JFK to Milan and decided to just start our adventures as soon as we got here. Took a cab from the airport to the hotel, freshened up, only took about half an hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah. 1 hour 30 minutes was Shreen's fast turnaround.
Yeah, because I actually unpacked everything, put out the moisturizers, Osama's toothbrush, all of those things, found a lota for us to use. That's not something Osama took into consideration. Obviously had to freshen up and go for my little Milan vibe. Everyone here is so fashionable and looks so put together that I had to meet the standards of the city. Oh, thank you so much, cappuccino. Okay, so perfect timing. We just couldn't hack the fact that we haven't had coffee in almost 24 hours. So I got a cafe d'orzo and Osama got a cappuccino. I decided to Google what a cafe d'orzo was, and turns out it's a caffeine-free coffee made from barley. So I literally lost the placebo effect as well. But I'm excited to try this. It is our first time trying cafe d'orzo. This is apparently a large size, but the mug is like totally empty. I'm really confused. Should I try it?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Oh no.
Horrible.
Oh no.
That is beautiful in French. Why did I think that an espresso was a good idea?
Just remember that actions have consequences, and don't look towards my cappuccino right now. Can
It
everyone
looks
see
so
the hungry
milky
look in
and
her eyes?
frothy. Honestly, the aftertaste isn't that bad.
I, on the other hand, stuck to the classics and got a cappuccino, which is beautiful. No oats or barley in sight.
The Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II is Italy's oldest active shopping gallery and a major landmark of Milan in Italy. The central octagonal space is topped with a beautiful glass dome, and this Milanese Galleria is larger than its predecessors and was an important step in the evolution of the modern glazed and enclosed shopping mall, and it inspired the use of the term Galleria for many other shopping arcades and malls. Nowadays, the Galleria is a paradise for shoppers and lovers of designer high-end goods. That's not really for us, but we still enjoyed our window shopping.
In terms of first impressions of Milan, it's a cool city. I think it is really beautiful. It has a European vibe, but obviously we see a lot of similarities with places we've visited, like Barcelona, time we spent in London, even some bits of New York at certain parts. So I like it, it's a really nice vibe. Because we're so used to this kind of busy city, I'm not sure that it's as big of a novelty for us, and we're not huge on shopping and designer brands and things like that. So I think if you're super into that, this might be a great place to come. Otherwise, for us, we're planning to just spend a day here, and I think that's about right. I don't know if I would want to spend that much time in Milan. So it worked out for us because it has really good transport links. We got a direct flight straight here, 8 hours from New York, and it's given us a bit of a landing pad. Got a little flavor of Italy, and from tomorrow onwards we'll move on to Florence and Rome, which I think is the main attraction for why we're here. We did spend some time in this famous shopping kind of area called the Galleria. We'll put the name on the screen here, and it was really beautiful. Even as someone who doesn't do much shopping or isn't into designer brands, the architecture and the light and everything like that was really beautiful, so I did enjoy my stroll through there. And then we looked at the big famous Duomo Cathedral, which is this kind of Gothic type architecture. It reminded us a lot of the Sagrada in Barcelona, and I think this one is also not finished, so it's a bit of a recurring theme with these types of buildings. I think they shouldn't put so many little bits on them, and maybe they'd be able to finish it in a few centuries. Now that I've successfully offended anyone who has ever lived in Milan, sorry for that, we're now going to move on to dinner.
We went to the highly rated restaurant Piz in Milan to get some much needed pizza on day one of our Italy trip. It was really delicious and worth the trip, but they don't do reservations and it gets really busy, so we recommend getting there exactly at opening time. We ended the evening with one of our favorite activities, going grocery shopping in a new city. We love experimenting with and comparing snacks in each different country we visit, and I stocked up on lots of Nutella biscuits. Day 2 in Milan kicked off with a nice, healthy breakfast.
One thing that I read on a blog that we started noticing while we were out here in Milan is that for a typical Milan breakfast, it consists of having a pastry and a coffee, but instead of sitting down and really relishing it and enjoying every bite, people seem to just stand at the counter where they've just ordered the coffee from. Now that is really absurd to me because I just love sitting down, getting cozy and just taking my time, going on my phone or just chatting to whoever I'm with. But the people in Milan, from what we witnessed, we were just like people watching, they would just come up to the counter, order a macchiato or an espresso and then just sip it and then just leave, and we're just like, why would you not sit down? But it was really interesting, and I guess what Stanley Tucci told us is that Milan is a very working city where people just want to get back to work, do their thing, like don't have time for leisure. So that's what we kind of noticed. So today what I've been doing is pretending I'm in Milan Fashion Week and just strutting around these streets like they're runways, and Osama has totally not been embarrassed by me doing that. But what we have found is that people in Milan seem to be really well dressed. I know we've lived in London, we've lived in New York, so it's not the biggest sample size, but when comparing to our travels in Paris, our time in London, our time in New York, I do feel like the Milanese people seem to have this like chic suaviness, if that's a real word, to them. Their fashion isn't just well put together like people in London or edgy like what we've seen in Paris, but they seem to have like this really sophisticated touch to their outfits, which is why everyone seems to think that I'm Milanese as well.
Lavazza has a flagship store here in Milan, so as coffee lovers, we had to pay it a quick visit. We then saw a giant long line for this bakery, which we assume means it's probably famous, and we also saw a long line to get into the Starbucks Reserve Roastery, so if these two are on your agenda, make sure to leave sufficient time. We concluded our brief 2 days in Milan the only way we know how, with more pizza and pasta. So yes, Milan was a lot of fun, a quick 2-day trip. On balance, we wouldn't really recommend longer than 2 days here unless you're a huge shopaholic, but we did enjoy our whirlwind trip. Make sure you check out my next video on this channel where we explore Florence, Rome and Venice to see how they compare.